I really try not to start these shows after midnight, but here we are, 12:10. It's 9:10 on the West Coast, but I'm on the East Coast, so it is the reality of what it is. But there's stuff to talk about. Actually, I don't know if there's stuff to talk about. There's emails to answer and chat about, if nothing else. So we'll do that on episode 205 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. We talk about pinball. But before that, we'll talk about what I currently have sitting in front of me at my hotel as I come to you not live from Middletown, New York, here on early Monday morning, November 16th, or if we're looking at my computer, set to Pacific time, late Sunday night, November 15th, 2015. Here we are. Welcome. Good to chat with you again. I'm in Middletown, New York. If you keep up with where the good collections of pinball machines are out on location to play, you might hear Middletown, New York and think, oh, Rock Fantasy is in Middletown, New York. Nate's going to get to play a great set of pinball machines. It's just not happening. See, I'm on this trip and I'm traveling with a bunch of coworkers. I had my bosses with me for a couple days. Now I have a marketing manager with me and a guitar player with me. We're doing events, and there's been absolutely no pinball on this trip. It's been a bummer. It's been a big bummer. I'm having trouble talking here. Frustrating. I've been very close to some good collections of pinball machines in the New England area the past few days, but now here we are in New York. My voice is a little trashed from talking and presenting. Somebody's going to accuse me of vocal fry, and you can take a long walk off a short plank or whatever that saying is. This is just how it's going to be. So, I have a San Pellegrino in front of me because I'm fancy, or because they gave it to me free when I checked in at the hotel. One of the two, you decide. And that's how we're going to do 205 tonight. So let's jump into 5 fast thoughts.
5 fast thoughts.
All right, fast thought number 1. Really glad to see that In-Disc, or It Never Drains in Southern California, which is a yearly tournament put on by Jim Belcito and Carl D'Angelo, is joining forces with the Arcade Expo being held at the Museum of Pinball in Banning, California in January. Is that enough for you? There's a lot of descriptors in that. But last year, In-Disc was held at the Chaparral Lanes where it had been previously, and then the following week, or the week prior, I forget the order it was in, I think it was the week prior, Arcade Expo happened out in Banning, California at the Museum of Pinball. And at the time, I was like, I wish they could combine. Well, here we are in 2015, headed into 2016, and they are combining. They will be held at the same place. It's going to be fantastic. I think that this has the potential to be a very, very big tournament because it's Southern California. Huge population of players in Southern California. Northern California can flood down here and try and defend the state, as it may be. In-Disc is a very well-run tournament, highly respected tournament. There are very few collections like the Museum of Pinball has on the planet, and they are working to get better at all times. I know I saw a post this week on Pinside that people are taking their free time to go to the Museum of Pinball and work on games, get games up and running in better condition, etc., etc. Hats off to those people. If I had any talent or skill in that world, I might volunteer to help, but I don't, so I'll stay away. But I will gladly come and play those games and report on it as we go. Really looking forward to playing in that tournament and being there for that event. Cannot wait. Good to see that that's happening because, if everyone gets together, something really big can happen out there. I truly believe that. All right, fast thought number 2. Congratulations to Measle Mods. Measle Mods, based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. They were involved in a program / contest / whatever it is exactly. It's called a Creative Startups Accelerator, and it's like a program that chooses companies out of creative industries, and they do like a program where they can mentor and help these companies develop their business skills and their creativity. And the 3 finalists were chosen, and Measle Mods, who builds pinball machine mods and is very tight with Stern Pinball and building the Stern Pinball machine mods. Was a top 3 finalist and won $50,000, and then they actually won the whole program. They were selected as the winner. The quote from the person who is Roxanne Blair, who's the director of programs for creative startups, she says, Measle Mods is a local company showing exceptional understanding of a niche market, that's us, and with tremendous opportunity based on their solid business model. By harnessing the 3D printing technology, they are leading the way in manufacturing real products. So hats off to Measle Mods. Fantastic work that we've seen coming out of them in New Mexico, and I look forward to the future and hope that money goes a long way to helping them further their business and further their pinball mods. That is a good thing. Fast Thought number 3, the Houston Arcade, what do we call it? Arcade Expo, I think, is the Houston Arcade Expo and Pinball Show, in parentheses, is ending tonight. Heard good things, saw good pictures. Tried to get the tournament results, wasn't totally filled in on who won that. I'm thinking it was Josh Henderson may have won that, but looked like a good show. It's sort of the other show in Texas, but it also seems to be picking up steam, seems to be fairly well attended. They had a great list of panelists. Would love to get to that show sometime, just hasn't lined up the past few years. So as Houston ends, Free Play Florida begins. So that's happening this weekend coming up. Friday, November 20th through Sunday the 22nd. That's in the Orlando area. It takes place at the Doubletree SeaWorld by Hilton. So if you're in the Deep South, if you're in Florida, and you want to go play a bunch of pinball machines, I think they're guaranteeing over 100 pinball machines. You should definitely get out and go check out Free Play Florida. I know there's a very well-run tournament there. It's a Papa circuit tournament, so check that out. If you want to get more information, if you're hearing this in real time this week, it's freeplayflorida.com. Fast Thought number 4, Bowen Cairns, friend of the show, who'll be contributing another cheat sheet to this episode here later. He has recorded a Papa tutorial on Full Throttle. Highway Pinball's Full Throttle gets a Papa tutorial. I think that's awesome. I love seeing some of the new companies' games get some of the love and get the attention. I think that's fantastic. You can go to papa.org and find that video. Check that out. Very cool. Fast Thought number 5, the IFPA Pin Masters registration is now open. This is the World Pin Golf Championship. It takes place March 18th to the 20th in Las Vegas at the Pinball Hall of Fame. It's capped at 72 players. Also that week on the 17th will be the U.S. National Championships and then the inaugural IFPA Women's World Championships. So there's a lot going on in Vegas at the Pinball Hall of Fame from the 17th to the 20th. That is the same weekend as the Texas Pinball Festival, so I will not be able to make it because I am committed to go to the Texas show. Josh Sharp will be running that tournament in Vegas, so if you can't make Texas and you can get to Vegas, I would encourage you to go and play in the World Pin Golf Championships and check out the Pin Masters. So check that out. You can go to IFPA. Oh man, Josh, I don't know. Are you guys a .com or a .org? You're IFPPinball.com, so check that out.
Bowen's cheat sheet.
Bowen Cairns joining me tonight, and we are going to do a cheat sheet here on Stern Pinball's masterpiece, to some, Avatar. Let's talk about Avatar. It's a game that I don't see all that often out there, but I did run into it at Pinburg, and this is just a little bit of insurance here. How do I get a good score going on Avatar? Which way to go on this one?
All right, so on Avatar, you want the ball to hit the divider between the two in lanes on the left side, and then bounce across into the out lane, so that it drains with no chance of saving it.
Dude, I'm really good at that. I'm fantastic at that.
This is what we call getting avatared.
Yes.
Any other game that has the same setup, like Metallica, it doesn't matter. You got avatared whenever that happens.
Yes, I'm good at that.
But the strategy for Avatar, at least my strategy, is very, very simple. The strategy is link all day.
Yes, that's what I thought you were going to tell me.
And this strategy would only really change if the game has been deliberately set up to bork the link, which sometimes at a tournament with qualifying, they would use like big yellow posts around link or something that makes it really much more difficult shot. But the reason for this is that the link multi-ball is pretty valuable. You can get not that hard to get to the super jackpot in Link, and the super jackpot is worth 3 million, with then a double super immediately available for another 6 million. That doesn't sound that impressive, but what makes it more impressive is you can double all of those values by completing the 3 top lanes at the top, the MTL or whatever the heck they are, and then shooting Link once. So that rule is borrowed from Batman, where when you complete the top lanes, it lights a doubler on whatever shot you shoot next. So you should shoot Link immediately and double Link for the rest of the ball. That way, Link Jackpot, Link Super, and Link Double Super are all doubled, and they become game-crushingly high at 6 million and 12 million. Nothing else in the game is worth that.
Let's say I'm missing the Link shot, or let's say they have it, nerfed on me where I can't get into it. What else could I shoot for on this table?
Well, just walk away and play something else, but if you must, things that are in the game that are surprisingly valuable, the bomber battle, which is the loops. Players tend to ignore this, but it's not that many loops to start, and the value of it, it's there. The value is pretty high. Bomber Battle plays a lot like Bogey does on Iron Man, except that it only applies to loops. So 4 loops starts it, and then you just keep shooting loops, and you'll get an increasing value for every loop during the round.
And those don't need to alternate. I can shoot the same loop over and over.
You can shoot the same loop over and over, or you can shoot the other loop. Either loop counts, and either loop also counts for the points. This is also an easy way to get the multipliers lit, because you'll get to the top lanes more often by shooting those loops. Other players tend to prefer the Banshee ramp, which I don't think is as nearly as good a choice. But if you are the type of person who can shoot a ramp over and over again, you can Banshee out in the same way that on Big Buck Hunter, you could Moose out, shoot the Moose ramp, and get points from that. So
now that's going to be a timed round on Banshee?
Yep, spelling Banshee will give you a timed round, and the goal in the time round is to shoot Banshee a whole lot. Gotcha. So if you get good at that left ramp and you're just like, I'm locked in, then left ramp out, and you'll get a reasonably good score out of it. But not nearly as much as you would from playing Link or from playing a strong bomber battle. In all these cases, putting an X on the shot is critical to success, because you'll be doubling everything that you earn from that shot, and that matters a lot. Amp Suit Multi-Ball is also pretty valuable, but you tend to pick that up on your own.
Now, can I light that inside of another multi-ball?
Yeah, so you can, during Link, start Amp Suit. Those are the only 2 multi-balls. And so during Link, that would be the time where I might actively aim for Amp Suit. And I'm mainly doing that to give me more balls and time to play Link. So during Amp Suit, you have to make a bunch of shots, and then the Amp Suit lights for a super, but I think it's only a 3 million super, and there's no double super. I'm not completely certain of this. I just know that that's not as valuable as playing the Link multi-ball. The way you get the super in Link is you hit 15 flashing shots, and it just counts down from 15. I think 2 shots light up, and they're always moving around. There are always 2 shots lit. If you hit Link during Link multi-ball, it will increase the number of shots that are lit. So you can put more balls back into Link during Link, and that's an add-a-ball, as well as an increase in the number of shots that are available to hit. There's also another add-a-ball available on the captive ball on the right side, the AWA, which whenever AWA is lit during multi-ball, just get it. It's the same add-a-ball rule that you've seen in the other games in Iron Man and in Batman with Alfred. It's the same rule.
Gotcha. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a final mode in there, but it's pretty much intractable for competitive play. It can happen, but one of the goals, the Na'vi goal, is very difficult. So I don't generally recommend people try for the final.
Those are the stand-up targets?
Yeah, you got to get the stand-up targets, and you've got to get one of the goals is to get all the players from the bond, I think it is. Which the rule is very difficult, so I don't recommend trying for that. I think that in competitive play, I've never gone or achieved the wizard mode. I've never gotten the wizard mode on Avatar. ever.
Ever?
Nope.
I think that's a challenge for yourself right there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Check the email.
Oh, friendly listener, we got to play a little inside baseball here. This show, if you're listening in real time, you might wonder why the show is just being released, but yet said I started it Sunday night or whenever. I had some technical difficulties in it. The whole section from here on out did not record right and had some issues. So I have to start over. So I need to read all these questions in email again and answer them again. And I got to tell you, the first go around was really good. It was really good. But we're gonna try again. I'm gonna go in reverse order and try and take care of this. So into the email we go. You can email me anytime you like, coast2coastpinball@gmail.com, and away we go. Hi, Nate. Huge fan here. Funny story. I inherited my first pin from my father, who had an old Williams Aztec at his architecture office since before I was born. When he retired, he gave me the machine, and thus started my long journey into being a pinhead. I was listening to your show, and when I picked him up from the airport recently, he asked what radio station was talking about pinball. I laughed, and I explained to him that you did an internet show thing called a podcast. He actually demanded I show him how to listen on his own, so I downloaded him your first 10 episodes on his iPhone. Literally 2 days later, he called and asked how to get more. Couldn't believe he listened all 10. Me either. Well, long story sort of short, he is now somewhere around episode 135 and still going. He asked me to email you and tell you thanks, and that he can't believe you do what you do and thinks you should be on a major radio show. If you read this on the show, it would probably be a real thrill if you tell Thomas Barber hello and thanks. Well, Thomas Barber, hello and thanks. Thanks so much. I hope Teresa's feeling better, David. Thank you, David. I just love that email. That's good stuff. You're very flattering, and that's awesome. Pinball's great because you go to these big shows and you go to these events, and there's people from 10 years old to 80-something years old. It's great. Fantastic. Love it. Thank you, guys. All right, next. Here we go. Hi, Nate. Curious why you chose Josh Sharp to be a reoccurring guest host of the show. Are you two friends outside of pinball, or did he approach you? I just found your show and was surprised to randomly keep hearing Josh. He's a great addition, and I was just curious if the backstory was interesting, as when I went back to the very early episodes, I don't think you were quite so friendly with so many top players. Thanks so much for over 200 episodes to keep my long drives from work a bit more pinball-centric. Mark from Iowa. Well, Mark, interesting question. No, I certainly didn't know Josh at the beginning. I met Josh. I reached out to Josh because as president of the IFPA, he's sort of the point person to a lot of things as far as, competitive pinball and promoting competitive pinball and ranking pinball players. And I reached out to him, and he, friendly guy who's looking to promote pinball at all times. And he came on the show. Show was good. We were like the same age. Josh and I are we come from a lot of similar shared background stuff, just growing up in the same time period. And then when I had him back on the show, I thought, man, this is good. This is a great way to talk competitive pinball. When the competitive pinball bug sort of bit me, and I realized how fun I found tournaments and playing, against each other with, not necessarily high level, hardcore competition, but just even the local tournaments for $10. It makes you approach a game differently. It makes me appreciate games that maybe I wasn't a big EM fan early on in the show. I think if you listen back, you can see that. Even early solid state games, they just didn't appeal that great to me because I was coming from really a home playing approach where it was me against the game, and I was trying to get farther and farther into the game. And when I had a game if you took a game like Firepower, you kind of knew what you had to do, and then it was just, can I do it over and over and get a lot of points? It didn't really click for me until I got into a classics tournament where all of those seemingly mundane shots and approaches are under more pressure and have more meaning, and the strategy gets really intense on those simple layout tables, where I really started to love them. And that's the truth of it. So that brought me more into competitive pinball, and it snowballed from there. And I truly do believe that growing pinball as a industry and a hobby, a lot of that will stem out of growth of competition pinball. So I just remember, I think I texted Josh one day hey man, are you up for coming on every month? And he's like, absolutely, let's do it. So we've tried to do that every month. I think we owe you a Josh Sharp show right now. So we will get on that soon. But yeah, Josh is great. And he does everything he can to promote pinball, which is the goal of this show, right? It's my creative outlet to talk about the hobby I love and hopefully create some more excitement about pinball and get everyone thinking and talking about it. So thank you. Glad you found the show. Appreciate it, Mark. Nate, I heard you mention you didn't really connect with Highway Full Throttle, but did think it, quote, shot well. What are your thoughts in those same regards to The Big Lebowski, The Hobbit, and Game of Thrones? I'm finally going to part with my beloved Addams Family Gold, and I can't decide what to replace it with. I only have room for one pinball machine. Might hold out to see what Alien looks like. All the best, Alan. All right, so what Alan is saying is, I've never been very high on Full Throttle, I think, as a total package. Like, I don't really look, the theme doesn't hit me at all. The artwork is not exciting. There's nothing about that artwork I'm like, oh, that would look great. You know, there's some like older games that maybe I don't love the gameplay, but the artwork is so beautiful, I would consider having it in my house. You know what I'm saying? Full Throttle's not that. But when I play it, I can't deny that it has very interesting feeling shots, and that the layout is unique. I don't think I've ever played anything like that before. It's a wide body game with some very fast shots, some very fast ball returns, and I think that's one of the keys that really makes Full Throttle feel like you are in this world of like motocross. Is that sometimes the ball is coming screaming back at you, and down through the in lanes right to the flippers, and you got to be on your toes. So yeah, I do agree with that, and I think Josh, when he came on the show, said sort of the same thing. Maybe the rules needed some tweaking. Maybe some of the insert work was just not as, I don't know, as creative as it possibly could have been. But yeah, I did think that after a lot of changes, because I originally didn't think Full Throttle shot all that well, and that may have just been prototypes not being totally dialed in, they did get to a game that is absolutely legitimately a good playing game. And that's important. So if I take that same kind of idea and look at these three games that are listed here, you know, I would say The Big Lebowski, the theme to me on The Big Lebowski is very cool. It's not maybe timeless to a degree of certain themes like your Attack from Mars or your Twilight Zones or Medieval Madness, but it's certainly really up there because that movie is, I love the movie. I don't, walk around in sweaters from the movie and like quote the movie. I'm not that big of a fan of it, but I do really. That's totally my style movie. Huge fan of the genre, that like dark comedy sort of off the wall type thing, and it does have legs. People still do really love that movie and appreciate it. There's Lebowski festivals, so I'm into the theme. Definitely into the theme enough to be into the game. I think it looks beautiful. I think that the art package on that game actually is a huge a pro on that game. It's one of the things I really like about it. Excuse me. It seems to shoot well. I think it does shoot well. I have to reserve judgment until I play a production model. The prototypes that I've played shoot well, but part of my problem with that game is I'm so into the way it looks and into trying to figure out what's going on with the rug toy, with the ramps, with the upper playfield, with the bowling mechanism, that I don't know that I've gotten a really good chance to sit in front of it on my own and just shoot the game. I really haven't. I've played it at launch parties, at Expo, in situations where there's a lot of people waiting to play, so I don't get to really play a lot of games in a row. Whereas with Full Throttle, when it was on location finally at the Pinball Wizard Arcade in New Hampshire, I did get to just like literally put my money in and kind of take my time and play the game. So for the Big Lebowski, looks fantastic, and I trust Dutch Pinball to give us a great rule set. So I think that I'm a leg up there with the Big Lebowski, probably over Full Throttle, certainly. The Hobbit's been an interesting one where I was very outspoken, didn't connect with the artwork and the implementation of the licensed materials into the game at first. They made all these changes. I think it's fantastic looking now. I think it's beautiful. It's one of the best looking pinball machines as a total package possibly ever built, with the coating they've used on some of the wireforms, with the different textures in the game, with the toys. I really think it looks fantastic. It's an interesting game because it's a very, very wide open game, and it's a wide body. So some people have come away from The Hobbit and said, there doesn't seem to be much to shoot at. Now, as the rules have fleshed out and as the code has come along, you're starting to see a ton of implementation of the pop-up troll type targets, the goblins, and I'm sorry, I forget the exact name of these characters, but these are popping up out of the playfield and integrating into the game. So that gives you lots of these random shots to have to shoot at and take and connect with. The drop targets are going to play a major role. The deep ramps, I kind of like the long, deep ramps. I'm into that. Maybe that's just my love for Twilight Zone coming out, because that's what those deep, long cross ramps sort of remind me of in the back of the game. I think there will be lots to do on that game. I think when you get that at home, get it set up right the way you want it, steepen it up if you need. I think that game's going to be fine. But I can't sit here and tell you how great it shoots or how, normal or bad it shoots. Certainly, I haven't had enough time on it. But whereas Full Throttle, I was tiptoeing towards it because of the theme and the art package. The Hobbit, I'm sort of running at that game because of the LCD screen with all the high-def images, the artwork, et cetera, et cetera. I think it looks fantastic. Game of Thrones, this one's an interesting one because clearly me and a lot of people were not in love with the art package at first. As soon as I saw the game in person, the moment I saw it in person, I kind of was like, oh, okay, this looks great. It does. It looks fantastic. Is it the best implementation of the theme into the game? No, I don't think so. If I didn't have a back glass on there, I probably wouldn't know it was a Game of Thrones machine. That would be what I would tell you there. It would look just like some sort of medieval type, generic layout. The game shoots great. I played it in the tournament at Expo. I played it on the side. I played it all over Expo. The game shoots fantastic. Steve Ritchie knows how to lay out a game. In Steve Ritchie, we trust. He knows what he's doing. The rule set's already there. There's nowhere. Where's the code? I think there'll be some tweaks done to that game. I would absolutely own a Game of Thrones. And so if you're, looking at moving away from an Addams Family Gold and you're trying to choose one of these games, I think you will not feel bad about any of them. I think that Game of Thrones was probably going to be the easiest one for you to get quickly, obviously, because those are being produced and shipped right now. You can contact distributors and get those probably shipped to you in the next few weeks. And I think you'd be very happy with it. I agree. Very curious to see what Alien ends up being. What is this game going to look like? We sort of know the layout. We know some of the peripheral artwork. Can't wait to see the playfield. Can't wait to get my hands on it. So I think Alien's going to be a big story in 2016. Thank you for the email. All right, this is from Chris. Chris writes, if I can go to one pinball show next year, which one do I choose? I'm based in North Carolina and can travel anywhere one time. Part-time student, full-time job, budget for one trip. A good tournament is a plus, and the ability to play a lot of different pinball machines is huge to me as well. Any advice on or off the show is appreciated. Thanks for all your hard work in pinball. All right, Chris, so here's what I would tell you. If the tournament is really, really, really important to you, if that to you is like the number one utmost thing on your mind, you cannot miss going to Replay FX. I think that experience in a giant match play tournament situation, you'll meet a lot of cool people, you'll play all sorts of people, you'll play all sorts of games in that format. And I believe registration is December 1st for Pinburg, 700 people. If you want the biggest, quote, show, where there's just the most games, the most room, maybe not the most vendors, but certainly I think the vendor area has come a long way and is going to be better every year. Maybe the most vendors now that I think about it. I don't know. I have to think. Probably the most vendors. I take that back. The Texas Pinball Festival. The Texas Pinball Festival, to me, as a show, is sort of distancing itself from the pack of the other shows, just in the way they're doing that. And this is certainly not a slight against any other shows, because there's other great shows. Midwest Gaming Classic, the Seattle and the Northwest Show, Southern Fried Gamer Expo, fantastic show. Pintastic New England got all these great reviews. There's lots of other good shows. But Texas has a lot of games. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of games. It has one of the most comfortable facilities that I've seen in any of the shows. I think it's probably the best. Now, in full disclosure, I've never been to California Extreme. And if you're into video games also, a lot of people would say, dude, California Extreme. But Texas, to me, is sort of the gold standard right now as far as putting on a regional, now I think national pinball show. And from what it looks like, the new tournament format this year is going to be really fun. It's a limited entry, limited herb style, qualifying on games. You have a limited amount of qualifying attempts on a bank of games, and then the top group makes the finals, etc. And there's an A and B division. So I'm really looking forward to Texas. Absolutely. You're in North Carolina, so I don't believe there's any major shows right in your area. But certainly if you're just going to go to one, Papa's also an option to me, because Papa, if it happened to line up best for you, there's obviously the World Championships. The Pop World Championships are there. I don't know what your skill level is. I'll be in the C division hanging out there trying to qualify this year. And I think that that's a fantastic place for the real amateur. The B division is for those like semi-pro guys who are almost there. And then the A division, you're playing with the best pinball players in the world. And also the great thing about Papa, it's free to get in. It's low cost generally. And there's hundreds of games. And there's lots of games that aren't tied up in the tournament. So Papa is also a great one. But I think if you're, but you want to have vendors there. So if you're looking for the whole deal, the ability to possibly buy a game and ship it home or drive it home or whatever, a cool tournament, crossing our fingers, tournament's going to be great this year at Texas. If you're looking for lots of games, vendors, good vendors, the newest games should be there. Some cool talks and seminars. I think the Texas Pinball Festival is fantastic. I think if you really want that long, competitive, days of competition guaranteed, Replay FX and Pinburg might be your option. I got to tell you, I'm re-recording this whole segment in the morning, and I never do the show in the morning. And when I do it, it's brutal. My voice can't take it. It's hurting. It's hurting, friendly listener. All right. Hey, Nate, I've been listening to you from the beginning, but I've never emailed you before. Like what everyone else says, you're doing awesome. They don't all say that. Trust me. They don't all say that. I'm always looking forward to your next podcast. On to the point. I think you and I have similar tastes in pinball machines, and like you, I had a desire to get a Doctor Who, along with the fact that my teenage daughter is a Doctor Who mega fan, so I was getting pressure to bring one home. Just like you, I was getting put off by the crazy prices people are asking on Craigslist. I didn't know of anybody here in Omaha who had one either. After posting several wanted ads in all the Craigslist cities around here with no success, I gave up. 1 week before going to South Dakota and Colorado with family on a summer vacation 2 years ago, I posted a Craigslist ad in Denver. I got 2 replies. I ended up picking up a working project with a good back glass, dirty but good playfield, and an unfaded cabinet. Just a few loose wires and one bad bulb socket and some solder, and it was ready to go. $1,300 in the rental of one U-Haul trailer for $125. The seller was just a local guy who only had one machine and a wife who wanted the space cleared. How about before your next trip, you drive up to Oregon or wherever, your wife and dog, and you post a couple of want ads for the destinations along the way. You could rent an SUV with fold-down seats, etc., etc. It worked for me. Now it's my wife's go-to machine. She loves it more than Tron and Lamp. Good luck, John. John, it's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. It's an idea I have thought of, and I have looked way beyond where I live in Southern California for the right Doctor Who. Doctor Who's having a moment. And there is one on my local Craigslist. It started out at $3,800. Now I think the guy's looking for $3,300. And I don't even want to email him at those prices. I don't even want to, justify that ad at those prices. It's just too much for that. Because $3,800, I mean, that's a lot of money. And I love Doctor Who. It's one of my favorite games. It has cool rules. It has a great, fun layout. I do love the theme, but I'm not going to pay almost $4,000. I don't really want to pay $3,000, quite honestly. So I've looked well beyond. I need a couple things with my Doctor Who. I need to get it at a good price. I'm willing to pay. I'm willing to get up there. I can be in that $2,500-$2,600 range if it's a good machine. I don't want a lot of popped inserts. I don't want any playfield wear. I'm looking for something good. I don't mind the faded or not faded cabinet. Most of those games are faded, so the fact that you found one not faded, that's awesome. I'll fly and drive and get one. I really will. I'm up for that, but I've not had any luck thus far. John, thanks for the email. Glad you enjoy the show. Hi, Nate. Cool episode about the bingo machines. You really are brave to go into this subject on a pinball podcast. I am from Belgium and don't like the expletive machines at all. They destroyed many families and pushed people in deep gambling depths. It even became so bad the government had to take action to limit the amount of money you could win to make the machines less attractive to play. There are cafes and bars in Belgium that survive solely on income of the infernal machines. Infernal machines, wow. A fun fact is in the 80s and 90s, regular pinball machines were used to persuade skeptic bar owners to place a bingo game. So you would very often see an Addams Family next to a bingo game. Oh, and the company that makes the bingo games now is called Wimmy, and the owner is one of the richest people in Belgium. FYI. Kind regards, Peter. Peter, thank you for the email. That's interesting. I think you get into some sort of political, sociological, kind of cultural topics there with, did the bingo machines push people into gambling depths, or did people's own choices push them into gambling depths? I think that would be a question a lot of people would ask right off the bat. I don't have any problem with government, though, saying like, hey, these are, fun looking, pretty games. We're going to like dial down how much money you could maybe lose and win. I get that. But there's a lot of choices about free will, I think, going on there. As an actual just amusement device, they're very interesting. I've never played one. And I hope to. I had a lot of good feedback from Nick Baldridge coming on the show, and a lot of people were like, whoa, I went and looked up these games after you guys talked about it, because I hadn't ever really looked at them before. So that's interesting, and it's interesting to hear that it's still such an issue. And you would hope that they don't drag down pinball machines in public perception with them in places like Belgium. So thank you for the email. Always appreciate it. All right, we read this one. Working our way through this mailbag that I'm very bad at keeping cleaned. All right, it's from Dan. Maybe some show fodder for you. I wonder if Stern is the cause for parts supply delays at Jersey Jack Pinball and Planetary Pinball Supply / Chicago Gaming Company. I would guess that some of the parts for Jersey Jack, Planetary Pinball, are produced by the same companies that produce Stern parts. Speculation for sure, but I think the supplier, absent any influence, would have more competence in production. The supplier's goal would be to produce 1,000, etc., etc. All right, so what we're basically saying is Stern Pinball purposefully causing a parts shortage in the industry to try and limit other companies from having access to parts. I think that is the gist of this email. And it's something that I've heard thrown around before. I can't speak to it with a lot of authority because I don't know. I don't have any firsthand information of that happening in the pinball industry. I can tell you that in the guitar amp industry, in making like boutique guitar amps or low run guitar amps, there was a time when there was only a few companies building things like power tubes, vacuum tubes, or the right type of power transformers, really specific parts to a product that you needed to kind of, be able to make the product. And when things were hot, there were companies buying stock loads of certain products to, if nothing else, price protect them on these parts, so they knew they got all of them at this price, and that their competition would have to then pay more to either have somebody else build the part or to buy them third party on the open market at a higher price. That certainly happens in the world. In pinball, I think that, when you talk about Jersey Jack, they've had a lot of the parts that they've gotten a lot of those parts just fine for Wizard of Oz. I don't know that I could lay any of the blame of the delay on the Hobbit on part supplies. I don't think that doesn't feel right to me in my guessing of why the Hobbit has been delayed. I think a lot of it has had to do with making changes to the game and then having a lot of those changes then okayed by the rights holders. Planetary Pinball Supply, those Medieval Madnesses are being built in the Stern factory. They are assembling those for them. So I'm not sure. That would be a really interesting thing, though, if that was happening and yet they were also the builders. I don't know. I welcome anybody who is more into that world to let me know. I will say this. I have spoken with at least one, maybe two boutique builders who told me they had real big problems getting a couple certain parts just because nobody was making them. But it's probably something that Stern, that uses these type of parts, has made for them, for themselves. Like somebody makes them. I don't think Stern makes those parts in Chicago, but I think they go and have them made for them in factories around the world. And I know that there's been, hard, like somebody couldn't get a certain type of target, possibly. So I know that has been an issue out there. Interesting email, though. Very interesting, Dan. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. Nate, thanks for making my 2+ acres of yard to mow not so mind-numbing. I hope you have a riding lawnmower. Please remind me if it was Zach Sharp that said a center drain was something absolutely preventable with good nudging skills. Whether it was Zach or someone else, will you please describe what the best thing to do when you see the center drain coming? It was either Zach or Josh. I don't remember which Sharp brother said that. We'll talk to Josh about this. I'll remember this when he comes on the show next time, because I am certainly not a player extraordinaire. The better I get at saving a ball, though, the better I get, because my accuracy is, my issue, and I need to save more balls. So when you see a ball coming straight down the middle, you need to make a decision early. The earlier you can make a decision that, okay, that looks straight down the middle, I need to give this game a nudge. And so if the ball is straight down the middle, you have to train your mind to quickly decide, is a nudge to the right going to get the ball to touch the left flipper better than a nudge to the left getting the ball to touch the right flipper? Got it? So you're nudging the game to the right. On the left side, you might give it a nudge with your left hand. You're trying to push that left flipper out in the way of the ball. I see some guys do a two-handed kind of shake jiggle nudge, just trying to get that ball moving in a direction other than the center. I think Adam Lefkoff said to me one time when we were playing a game at a show, and he was just kind of walking me through the rules of a certain game. He said that I needed to realize that a lot of what I was perceiving as going to be potential center drains were actually safe. That if I had just like done a dead flip, let the ball literally hit the edge of the flipper, it would have saved over. He thought I was actually overcompensating, and that I needed to really watch that. And I think about that when he told me that rings in my head like 2 years later, to really not overdo it. And sometimes I lose the ball down the center because I've guessed wrong. The ones that get me the worst are actually shots that there's this weird angle that comes towards a flipper from a kind of a sharp angle to the side. So like picture the Walking Dead drop targets on the far left side. You hit one of those targets and the ball comes back towards the middle. Sometimes I feel like, okay, the only way I'm going to touch this ball, the only way I'm going to save myself here, because it's coming towards the middle from a sharp angle on the left, is to get it to the right flipper. So I start banging the game to the left from the right side, and it doesn't happen, and I miss it. When really, the better move on a lot of these shallow angles is to get the left flipper up, because it's coming at such a kind of an angle that it's never going to get to the right flipper. But if you get that left flipper up, you'll kind of pop it over to the right flipper. I know that's hard to maybe imagine, but I've caught myself getting trapped by that, and I'm better at it than I used to be. And sometimes off the fuel targets in Metallica, I have that kind of thing where the ball's coming from a side, coming towards the middle, and the move is to actually kind of reach out and grab it with the left flipper, or at least get that flipper in its way to pop it up over to the right. So I'll try and remember Pete, a.k.a. Dr. Horror Brew, and 50-Foot Brewery is, I guess, where Dr. Horror Brew does his craft in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you very much for the email there. And I think, let's see, here we go. Kenny, hey Nate, hope you're doing well and Teresa is on the mend. She is. She's actually doing much better. As usual, I listen to every episode as soon as it hits, and you do an incredible job as always. You're so kind. I can't even read the rest of that paragraph, Kenny. You're too kind. I got AMH. I picked up AMH number 24 in Knoxville this weekend for, I don't know if you want me to say this price or not, but I'll just tell you it's a price much more than what the retail price was. I was going to get one through Spooky last year in Texas, but a good friend of mine got one, so I figured that was good enough. The problem is my friend lives about an hour and 20 minutes away. After a couple visits playing his, I decided I made a mistake not getting one in Texas when I had the chance. It really is a great total package. It has so much personality and creativity in it. Ben is good, real good. The target bank is programmed way better than any other target bank in history, and that's indicative of the way the whole code is. Fresh, unique, and fun. You've been a great champion of Spooky and played a significant role in their success, I think. I don't know if I've played a significant role. I think they're really good at what they do. I'm sure they're grateful. I am too. I love seeing the little guys succeed and do so well, and sometimes they need help getting seen and heard, and you've helped provide that. Dude, thanks. I would love to think that somebody heard my show and gave Spooky Pinball a chance. I don't know if I played a significant role in their success. They were going to sell all 150 of those games with or without me saying how much I loved it. I believe that. So, America's Most Haunted. Love the game. Still really enjoy the game. It is very unique. It has a different feel. The rules are deceptively simple, but the implementation of things like that drop target bank, it has three stand-up targets on a bank a la Attack from Mars, is really unique because, the mode rules to America's Most Haunted are all very kind of straightforward. There's a mode with 3 inserts in front of that shot for that mode. You have to hit hit the shot 3 times, light the 3 inserts, and then a 4th time to start the mode. So if you take a mode like the Prison Ghost mode, which is the left orbit, you start that mode by hitting the shot 4 times, and then the mode shifts to a game on the bank target where you have to hit each one of the 3 banks and get them to stop flashing, and then each time you hit all 3, light them all, it launches an extra ball. So now you have another ball in play. So you have 2-ball, multi-ball going. And now you have to hit the bank again to launch another ball. So you can have up to 3 balls going. You can drain down to 1 ball and stay in that mode. And the mode will continue until you drain all your modes. But once you get your third ball launched, the bank drops, and now you're hitting jackpots at that center magnet little inner loop shot. And that will continue until you drop back to one ball, like a typical multi-ball mode. It's kind of simple, but it's really unique, because then you get into other modes, like, let's say the elevator mode, the right ramp mode. When you start that mode finally, that is the hotel mode. There's the creepy little innkeeper guy. The goal of that is to find the elevator switch to then get yourself off the floor with the creepy ghost guy. And the switch for that elevator is hidden behind one of the flashing shots. So you start the mode, and I believe 6 shots, maybe 5 shots start flashing around the game, and you have to shoot those until you find the one that is randomly assigned to be the elevator switch. You might get it on your first shot, or you might hit 5 shots and then you have 1 shot left blinking. And of course, it's like, of course, I couldn't figure out which one it is. It's just a really well thought out little mode that keeps things interesting, because when the game's fairly brutal, you're generally not going to see all the modes every time you play. So you can, choose which modes you want to play, and the game feels fresh and new. It's not to mention there's all sorts of great little side things like the EVIPs. There's the center target with the minion modes. There's Photo Ghost Hunt. It's really a fantastic game. I really do love it. And that's episode 205, guys. I gotta go to work. I'm actually finishing the show. I started the show coming to you from Middletown, New York. I believe I'm finishing the show from Wappingers Falls, New York. So if you don't know where that is, look it up sometime. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Episode 206 is on its way before you know it. In like a week or something. Thanks. Take care. Be nice to each other. Play more pinball.